Good day! Basic Occupational Safety and Health by Group 8 of BET ECT 2A STEM. Our topic is about the Personal Protective Equipment or PPE. For our team, we have LG Sus A. Calma, Ryan Ezekiel M. Fabros, and yours truly, Nessie Ann A. Dumaalo. Our report will be about first is the PPE, second is the guidelines in selecting PPE, third is the types of PPE, and last but not the least is the OSH rule on PPE and devices. Let us begin. What is PPE? Personal protective equipment is also known as PPE. It is worn to reduce the exposure of hazards that can result into accidents and illnesses. It should be built and assembled in a safe manner and should always be kept clean and reliable. Employers are the ones to provide the PPE for workers for their protection. They must also educate their worker on how and when to use the PPE properly. It can be done through seminars or programs. In the seminars, it must contain the following topics: when the PPE is necessary, what kind of PPE is necessary for a certain situation, how to properly put it on, adjust, wear, and take it off, the limitations of the equipment, the proper care, maintenance, useful life, and disposal of the equipment. For the guidelines in selecting the PPE, we have LG Sus A. Calma to present.
So, in selecting PPE, meron tayong guidelines. So, we should consider three key factors. So, the first one is type of anticipate exposure. So, ito yung mga expected exposure natin sa workplace. So, kung pipili tayo ng PPE, dapat kaya niyang i-withstand yung possible exposure sa present workplace natin. So, for the second one, durability and appropriateness of the PPE for the task. So, it should be durable. Dapat matibay yung PPE natin. And dapat appropriate. So, ibig sabihin, dapat yung sinusuot natin is connected siya dun sa mga task na gagawin natin. So, for example, sa mga medical, meron tayong tamang PPE. Then, pag mga surgical din, may tama ring PPE. Then, meron din para sa mga construction worker naman na mas bigatin yung mga PPE na ginagamit nila. So, for the third one, is it should be fit. So, dapat fit, dapat hindi maluwag, hindi rin masikip. The wearer should be able to move freely.
For the types of PPE, we have Ryan Ezekiel M. Fabros and again, LG Sus A. Calma to present.
So, for the types of PPE, we have different types of PPE. The first one to tackle about is head protection.
So, magsisimula tayo sa head protection. Meron tayong Rule 1084, the head protection, galing sa guidelines ng Occupational Safety and Health Standards or OSHS. Head protection like hard hats, equipment shall be required for the protection of workers, lalo na sa mga workplace na prone sa hazard tulad ng impact, penetration from falling and flying objects, blows, and limited electric shock and burns.
Ano-ano nga ba ang klase ng mga hard hats? May tatlo tayong klase ng hard hats. Ang mga ito ay Class E is for electrical, Class G for general, at Class C for conductive. Bawat klase ay may iba't ibang pakinabang. Ang unang class ay electrical. Ito ay electrical type na hard hat. Kadalasan ay ginagamit ito ng mga electrical engineers or technologists. Kung may nakikita man kayo na Meralco workers na nag-aayos ng poste ng kuryente, mapapansin nyo na gantong klase ng hard hat ang kanilang suot. Ito kasi ay electrical protection against high voltage. So umaabot hanggang 20,000 volts ang kanyang i-resist. Next is Class G. Normally ginagamit sa mga construction sites pero kadalasan rin na Class E or Class C ang ginagamit. Depende sa klase ng workplace. Itong Class G or General ay kayang maprotektahan ng ulo nang gumagamit sa mga falling debris. Kaya rin protektahan ng gumagamit against electrical voltage. So yung voltage resistance na kaya niyang i-resist is up to 2,200 volts. Lastly, ang class C or conductive. Ang uncommon siya or bihira lang ginagamit itong klase ng hard hat. It brings comfort but offers limited protection to people who wears this type of hard hat. Hindi rin ito nagbibigay ng protection sa tao against falling objects and electrical hazards. So mostly for minimal use or sometimes comfort lang. For the next protection,
So, meron ulit tayong Rule 1082 para naman sa eye and face protection na nanggaling pa din sa Occupational Safety and Health Standards. Eyes and face protective equipment shall be required where there is a reasonable probability of exposure to hazards such as flying objects, liquids, injurious radiation, glare, or combination of these hazards. And meron din tayong pinaka-common causes of eye injury. And ito ay yung chemical splashes, pag tumama yung chemical sa mata natin, then blood or OPIM splashes or sprays, intense light, dust, and other flying particles, molten metal splashes.
so dito may tatlo rin tayong klase ng eye protection. Katulad nga sa hard hat, may kanya-kanyang usage rin itong mga ito. Ang una ay safety glasses. Commonly, ginagamit ito sa chemistry laboratories at woodworking workplace. Also, kadalasan ito rin ay ginagamit sa snowboards. Ang silbi nito ay pinoprotektahan ang gumagamit against moderate impacts ng particles, water, and chemical splashes. Para sa next type, prescription glasses. So, tip ko lang guys, ang prescription glasses ay hindi PPE. Kadalasan ginagamit to for daily basis lamang at kailangan rin ito ng prescription sa mga eye doctors. So, prescription glasses, ito yung ginagamit natin ayun nga, for daily basis sa may mga grado yung mata. It also has usage to the users, giving plain eyesight and protect eye from interacting in dust or sunlights or blue light screens ng mga devices natin. For the next type, goggles. So, ang goggles, sakop nito ang buong eye area, giving enclosure sa upper part ng face, so it prevents objects and liquid na umenter around ng goggles. We have here 3 types of goggles. Ang direct ventilated, so mapapansin nyo sa picture na may butas yung gilid, di ba? It prevents the goggles from fogging. And it also resists direct passage ng large particles. Para sa next type, indirect ventilated. Nape-prevent naman dyan yung fogging, also allowing air circulation, preventing also the liquid and chemical splashes to enter the goggles. Para sa next type, yung non-ventilated. Hindi nagpa-pass through yung air dito, and dahil wala ngang holes ito, mostly, pag matagal lang ginagamit, may fog na nabubuo dun sa loob ng goggles, and also secure rin siya from splashing liquid. Para sa next protection, face shield. So, ang una ay face shield. Ito yung most common used face protection ngayong pandemic kasi pinoprotektahan ng ating mukha sa mga dust and potential splashes ng chemical or hazardous liquids. Also, yung shields are not for the eye protection. So, panatili nating magsuot ng eye protection and also the face protection for more secured safety against hazard. For the next type, welding shield. Mostly, ginagamit ito ng welders to protect their eyes and face from infrared and intense radiant light at mga metal splatter and flying sparks. For the next type, ang laser safety goggles. So, dinesign ito para ma-reduce yung hazardous laser eye exposure, also sa flying particles. And for our next protection, hearing protection. It is also one of the requirements na kailangan sundin in terms of preventing noise-induced hearing loss. So, pinoprotektahan ng mga devices na ito ang ating mga tainga sa mga noise energy upang hindi mag-cause ng damage ang ating inner ear. Normally, pag nag-uusap yung dalawang tao, it costs 70 decibels, no? But exposures to 85 decibels pataas is required na to wear an ear protection. Para sa next type, So nakikita nyo dyan sa table, mostly sa mga construction sites or some production areas, may mga maingay na gawain. So personnels are hearing 90 from 115 decibels. Usually, it costs their time dun sa workplace. So para sa next type. Ayan. And ito yung mga examples ng mga hearing protection na ginagamit. First is disposable foam plugs. Ginagamit siya mostly pag nagta-take off na ang airplane. Next is molded earplugs. Ginagamit rin siya also pag nagta-take off ng airplane and also from the workspace na maingay and sa mga machining, drilling. For the next type, ear maps. So normally makikita nyo ear maps sa mga gun range, firing range kasi sobrang lakas nung decibel ng gunfire and makaka-apekto rin ito sa pandinig ng tao na gumagamit ng baril. Next type is noise cancellation earplugs, also with the same proportion dun sa ear maps. So consider natin lahat ng noise reduction rating of all devices. For the next protection,
So, meron naman tayong respiratory protection from Rule 1083 na nanggaling pa rin sa guidelines ng Occupational Safety and Health Standards. The purpose of wearing respiratory protection is to prevent inhalation of infectious aerosols and to reduce occupational diseases caused by harmful dust, fogs, fumes, mist, gases, smokes, sprays, or vapors shall be to prevent atmospheric contamination. So, training and fit checking is a must, lalo na sa mga first time pa lang gagamit. So, dapat tinitraining natin yung mga employees natin kung paano gamitin ang respiratory protection equipment. Then, fit checking para maiwasan natin yung pagpasok ng kahit anong harmful substance sa ating respiratory protection equipment. So, dapat fit ito sa mukha natin. At ginagamit para alam din natin ang ating gagawin kapag may unexpected accidents na nangyari. So, dapat nagtitraining yung isang employee.
so dito, sabi nga ni LG, it used to protect an individual wearer against sa pag-inhale ng hazardous substances sa workplace. So dito nakalagay atmosphere supplying. It provides clean air and breathable air. So yung una natin is self-contained breathing apparatus or SCBA. Nakikita natin siya sa mga taong nag-spray paint and may mga can paints. The next is supplied air respirator or SAR. Ginagamit rin siya sa workplace na may hazardous aerosols. So kailangan talaga natin ng oxygen to breathe. For the next protection,
So, meron naman tayong Rule 1085 na nanggaling pa din sa Occupational Safety and Health Standards, the hand and arm protection. Gloves protect against contact with infectious materials. Ibig sabihin, ang gamit ng gloves ay iniiwasan nitong magkaroon tayo ng contact sa mga hazardous substance or infectious materials. At para naman sa mga healthcare worker, meron din silang iba't ibang gloves tulad ng mga disposable gloves, surgical gloves, dahil once na nagamit na nila yung gloves na to, dapat itinatapon na nila. Dahil hindi nila pwedeng gamitin yung gloves na ginamit nila sa isang pasyente sa susunod na pasyente. So, napakahalaga ng gloves. And then, meron din tayong potential hazards for hands. Skin absorption of hazardous substance, lacerations of severe cuts, punctures, chemical burns, thermal burns, extreme temperatures. So, ito yung mga potential hazards sa mga kamay natin. So, meron din tayong reminder on glove use. So, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, dapat lagi nating pinapalitan yung gloves or itinatapon na yung mga nagamit na natin. So, dapat lagi nating chine-change ito. Dahil kapag may punit na ito or sobrang dumi na nung gloves natin, dapat na natin siyang palitan. At saka para naman sa mga medical workplace, after use on each patient. So, dapat after natin gamitin yung gloves sa isang pasyente, dapat na nating itapon yung gloves at panibago na naman para sa susunod na pasyente. Then for number 2, don't touch your face or adjust PPE with contaminated gloves. Number 3, don't touch environmental surfaces except as necessary during patient care. Number 4, discard the gloves in the nearest appropriate receptacle. So, dapat napakahalaga ng tamang tapunan ng mga gloves. Hindi dapat natin siya tinatapon sa kung saan-saan lang. Number 5, gloves should never be washed and used again. So, katulad ng sinabi ko, once na gamit na natin yung gloves, hindi na dapat natin ginagamit at itinatapon na natin.
So, meron tayong ditong types of gloves. The first one is anti-vibration. Anti-vibration nga, vibration causes changes in tendons, muscles, and can affect the nervous system. So, it is the best used against the vibration. For the next type, chemical resistant. It can resist chemical degradation. For the next type, leather pulp. It has thick and offers heavy-duty protection, abrasion resistant, puncture, and heat resistant. So mostly, ginagamit siya ng mga construction worker. For the next type, permeation resistant. Pinoprotektahan ng kamay natin sa mga solvent and isocyanides, most likely sa mga paint. For the next type, heat resistant. Reasonable to wear kung yung work is interacting with heat. And for the next type, cut resistant. Works to protect the hands from cuts while working with the sharp tools. And for our next protection, body protection. So, ang body protection, meron itong coverall for the body. Pinoprotektahan ang users into hazardous risk sa workplace. For the types of body protection, the first type is lab coat. Ginagamit ito sa laboratories. Sinusuot rin ito ng chemist and pinoprotektahan ang kanilang katawan from injury and infection. For the next type is coveralls. Ito ay all-around body full suits for safety. Next type is vest. Ito ay ginagamit sa mga hold-on areas, most especially highways and for some electricals. For the next type, ang full body suits. Ginagamit naman ng full body suits sa mga most likely sa mga hospital with infectious disease, and also it works as a coverall for the user. For the next type, apron. So ginagamit ito ng tao sa mga nagtatrabaho sa metal workplace. Also, ginagamit rin ito sa hardwares and some electrical workplace. For the next type, surgical gown. Most likely nakikita nyo sa mga hospitals and laboratories. Suot rin yan ng mga doctors and nurses, and also nakikita nyo rin yan sa mga ICUs. For the next type, jacket. So, ginagamit ito ng mga laborers. Most likely, sinusuot ito ng mga taong nagtatrabaho in a winter condition sa mga winter areas. And lastly, ginagamit rin ito sa mga construction sites. So, for our next protection, foot and leg protection. So, ano nga ba yung mga causes ng foot injury? So, ayan, falling or rolling of heavy objects, crushing or penetrating materials, sharp objects that can penetrate the sole, exposure to molten metal, working on or around hot and wet or slippery surfaces, and lastly, working when electrical hazards are present. So, ano nga ba yung purpose ng foot and leg protection? Ang purpose ng foot and leg protection is to protect feet against a wide varieties of injuries and impact and compression and puncture. Ano nga ba yung mga ganyan? So, ito yung mga hazard yan. Falling or rolling objects, sharp objects or hot surface, and wet and slippery surface of or electricity. So, for the next type, meron tayong dalawang shoes para sa foot and leg protection. Ang una dito ay ang conductive shoes. Pinoprotektahan nito ang user against build-up of static electricity. Isinusuot lamang ito sa mga specific tasks sa workplace. Also, this kind of foot protection is not used as general footwear. Hindi rin kasi nag-workout kapag ang workplace is exposed sa energized electrical circuit. For the next type ng shoes is electrical hazard safety shoes. Itong shoes na ito ay non-conductive but can protect against open circuits of 600 volts o mas mababa pa under dry condition. The insulating qualities may be compromised if the shoes are wet, and the rubber soles is worn out or metal particles are embedded in sole or heels. So mostly less protection if interacted with wet areas. Bakit nga ba? Kasi water is a good conductor of electricity, and kapag ginamit ito, pag dito ginamit while the workplace is wet, so most likely magiging mapahamak yung tao.
Safety belts, lifelines, safety nets. Meron naman tayong Rule 1086 na nanggaling pa din sa guidelines ng Occupational Safety and Health Standards. So nakasulat dito na ang paggamit ng mga safety belts, lifelines, safety nets ay nakadepende sa work environment. So kung nagtatrabaho ang isang worker sa cleaning of windows ng isang building, safety belts and suitable anchors should be attached. So meron tayong mga standard materials and standard na sukat ng bawat equipment natin dahil kung hindi ito papasa, hindi dapat ito gagamitin. So para sa safety belts, meron dapat 11.5 cm wide and 0.65 cm. At para sa belt anchors, it shall be capable of supporting a pull of 2,730 kilo or 6,000 pounds. Lifelines shall be of sufficient strength to support weight of 1,140 kg or 2,500 pounds without breaking. Then meron din tayong safety nets. It shall not be less than 0.94 cm diameter mesh ropes and not less than 1.90 cm. So meron tayong iba't ibang klase ng system sa paggamit ng safety belts and lifelines. So the first one is the travel restraint system. Ito yung composed of body belt and proper accessories that prevents a worker in a high elevation working area from traveling to an edge where the occurrences of fall may happen. Then meron din tayong fall arrest system. Ito naman yung full body harness, safety lanyards, and proper accessories or a safety net. Yung safety net, ito yung nagpo-protect sa worker na if ever na mag-fall yung worker, bago niya pa ma-hit yung surface, may sasalo na sa kanyang safety net. So yun yung paggamit natin ng safety nets. At meron din tayong lifelines na shall be secured above the point of operation to an anchored or other structural members. Then, para naman sa OSH rules, PPE devices, Nestle Di Maano, take it away.
OSH rules on PPE and devices. We have the General Provision Rule 1080 of the Occupational Safety and Health Standards. It states that the employer must provide the PPE for their workers and failure to do so will be held liable. For the Rule 1081 General Provisions, we have the Rule 1081.01. Employers must provide the different types of PPE for their worker to ensure their safety from the possible hazards that may lead to injuries. Next is the Rule 1081.02. The PPE should follow the OSHS standards and must be worn according to the nature of work to be done. Dito naman is dapat yung PPE natin is naka-align dun sa standards na ginawa ng Occupational Health and Safety Standards. Next is the Rule 1081.03. The employers are held liable for the proper maintenance of the PPE of the worker. Sila yung mag-check, magme-maintain kung yung PPE ba na ginagamit ng worker nila is good to be used or damaged na para pwede na siyang palitan or i-dispose. Next is the Rule 1081.04. Workers should not be exposed to hazards without wearing the PPE.
To sum up our report, meron kaming personal reminders that we have learned sa aming report. So, para sa akin, once na nagtatrabaho na tayo, una nating dapat inaalam ay yung hazard ng workplace. So once na nagtatrabaho na tayo sa company na pinasukan natin, alam na natin yung mga tamang PPE na gagamitin natin para maiwasan natin yung accidents at saka if ever na mali yung binibigay na PPE ng employer natin, pwede natin siyang ireklamo. So yun lang. And how about you, Ryan? Meron ka bang reminders dyan?
Salamat, LG. Gusto ko lang dugtungan yung sinabi mo na dapat na rin natin malaman ng mga hazard para ma-identify natin yung mga specific na PPE against sa hazard na ma-encounter natin. So, how about you, Nestle? May gusto ka bang sabihin sa mga nanonood sa atin?
Ang idadagdag ko lang is hindi dapat yung employer ay alam din yung mga possible na hazards para alam nila kung anong PPE ba ang kailangan nilang i-provide sa kanilang workers. And masasabi ko din na hindi lang workers, employers ang kailangan ng PPE, kung hindi pati tayo kasi in this time of pandemic, we also wear our own personal protective equipment. Katulad yan, kapag lalabas tayo, kailangan nakasuot tayo ng face mask, face shield, and yung iba is minsan nag-gloves pa pag pupunta sila ng grocery para maprotektahan din natin yung sarili natin sa kung anumang possible na hazards and injuries, accidents ang pwede nating makuha sa labas. Ayun lang. Thank you.
Napakaganda ng iyong reminders. At sure akong maraming matututunan ng mga nanonood sa atin. And thank you for listening. And meron kaming quotation na i-prepare para sa inyo. And this is,
Sometimes you need to get knocked down before you can really figure out what your fight is and how you need to fight it. Sometimes you need to feel the pain and sting of defeat to activate the real passion and purpose that God predestined inside of you. God says in Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Hear me well on this day. This day when you have reached the hilltop and you are deciding on next jobs, next steps, careers, further education. You would rather find purpose than a job or a career. Purpose crosses disciplines. Purpose is an essential element of you. It is the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history. Your very existence is wrapped up in the things you are here to fulfill. Whatever you choose for a career path, remember the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose. When God has something for you, it doesn't matter who stands against it. If it's meant for you, God will move someone that's holding you back away from a door and put someone there who will open it for you. I don't know what your future is, but if you're willing to take the harder way, the more complicated one, the one with more failures at first than successes, the one that has ultimately proven to have more meaning, more victory, more glory, then you will not regret it. Press on with pride and press on with purpose and appreciate what God has brought you through.
To end our report, we will leave you a quotation mark stating that
if PPE does not fit,
It's not PPE.
thank you guys for listening.
Hope you learned a lot.
and enjoy our presentation. Bye!
Bye!